and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Burby's 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Hello, welcome to your Sunday news on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. Kevin Smith here.
Kayla King.
Let's get to the news in detail. President Dr. Irfan Ali is expected to lead consultations tomorrow at 13 hours at the Arthur Chung Conference Center on the draft local content policy, a document that seeks to ensure each Guyanese, regardless of race, religion, or sex, is well positioned to benefit the most from their oil wealth. Put another way, this means Guyanese must have preferential treatment in the award of contracts for goods and services in the sector. They must be given opportunities for training and employment, and there must be a transfer of technology to support capacity building in the industry and beyond.
Senior Minister in the Office of the President with Responsibility for Finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, on Friday presented the 2021 budget for Guyana at a whopping $383.1 billion, but with no charges in the vision of the People's Progressive Party Civic for the oil industry. The budget effectively builds on the promises made in the manifesto the party used to contest the 2020 general and regional elections. These promises are largely based on capacity building for monitoring agencies. The budget says, true to the inaugural speech made by President Dr. Irfan Ali the day before, which made no promise to renegotiate the controversial Starbuck Block Productions sharing agreement or to secure unlimited liability insurance for Guyana in the case of large-scale oil-related disasters such as oil spills.
And now let's tell you, President Irfan Ali has, in his maiden address to the National Assembly, made a commitment to publish the particulars of all revenue and expenditure of Guyana's oil sector in the official gazette. This, he said, will allow ordinary Guyanese citizens to track the transactions to better hold government accountable for every cent earned from the industry and for every cent that is spent. President Ali relayed that to accomplish that mandate, legislation will be introduced to make the senior minister with responsibility for finance and the finance secretary responsible for publishing the details.
Now let's tell you, government has budgeted an additional $2.5 billion to complete the already $150 million and counting Chedijagan International Airport. Senior Minister in the Office of the President with Responsibility for Finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, made these and other announcements on Friday when he presented the 2021 national budget. During his presentation to the National Assembly, Dr. Singh reminded the sitting that upon assuming office, confronting the People's Progressive Party Civic was a modified and poorly redesigned CGIA. This, the minister said, forced government to take drastic measures to remedy the situation to ensure that the project fulfills its commitment to be a modern international airport.
Meanwhile, bandits, one armed with a gun and another with a cutlass on Friday, stormed into a bar located at La Union, West Coast Demerara, and robbed 7 of its patrons. The robbery took place sometime around 22 hours, and according to police, while one of the bandits stood guard, the other moved to rob the victims one by one. The bandits managed to steal 5 cell phones, 1 gold ring, and a total of $126,000 in cash from their victims.
Firemen were busy yesterday following a string of fires that destroyed 5 homes, leaving 35 persons homeless. Kaieteur News was able to confirm that 3 of the houses destroyed had no insurance. The first, according to Fire Chief Kamaluddin Idu, began around 4:09 hours at Dazzle Housing Scheme Mahaika, East Coast Demerara. A relatively large 2-story concrete house owned by Claudia and James Osborne had caught on fire. Get the full details in today's Kaieteur News.
And now let's tell you, government is looking to engage in stakeholder consultations as it aims to finalize the amended Mining Act and Regulations of 1989. This was revealed by Dr. Ashni Singh last Friday. He went on to say that Guyana's economic, environmental, and social landscapes have seen many changes since the Mining Act of 1989 and its regulations were crafted. As a result of this ever-changing state of environment, the minister said that an updated legislative regime, which aligns with the best practice and principles of Agenda 2030, is required and in 2021 is needed.
And Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal has issued an ultimatum to businessman and ex-director of the Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission, Wilfred Bransford, for him to return 2 valuable parcels of state lands which he acquired as a member of the GLSC or faced prosecution. According to a letter seen by this newscast, the AG, in his capacity as the state's legal representative, outlined that Bransford, the owner of Kaieteur Enterprises, benefited from sale of severely undervalued lands located at Plantation Rumvelt, Georgetown.
And that just about brings us to the end of today's news. But before we go, let's get to the front page comment of today's Kaieteur News. Oil companies must pay the same taxes too. The senior minister within the office of the president, Dr. Ashni Singh, said it himself in his presentation of the 2021 budget. 96% of government revenues were derived from tax collections. That amounts to a whopping 218.3 billion Guyana dollars out of 227.4 billion Guyana dollars. We encourage our citizens to take a closer look at the numbers behind that 96% tax collection. One thing stands out. It is Guyanese, you and I, who are shouldering the bulk of those taxes. It is Guyanese who are feeling the pinch as a result of the country's high taxation at personal incomes. And that is why we are angry and disgusted, because the oil companies are paying next to nothing taxes. And to add insult to injury, they are ripping us off on our wealth. Why is Exxon allowed to benefit from a virtual tax-free status while the ordinary man is being deprived of a share of his earnings and even has to pay VAT on some of the purchases he makes for basic items in the supermarket? Why are Guyanese burdened with so many taxes? Income tax, property tax, company taxes, excise tax, value-added tax, professional fees, capital gains tax, and estate duties, while foreigners who are exploiting our gold, bauxite, oil, and timber are doing so without paying $1 into our treasury. What manner of inconsiderate leaders we have? Who would agree to this level of tax discrimination? The senior minister with responsibility for finance was proud to announce no new taxes on Guyanese. He is right. We have enough taxes already. We do not need more. What is needed is a leveling playing field by insisting that the oil companies pay the same taxes as we do. And while we're on the Kaieteur News today, let's head over to the page 7 for our blunt comment. Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdeo continues to show disrespect for the press by ignoring them in favor of media squatters who display no regard for journalistic principles. The tactic is as old as time. Give interviews to people who will suck up to you instead of asking the tough questions and expect the real journalists to provide coverage. This newspaper, this radio, will not fall for it. And that brings us to the end of today's Sunday News. I am Kevin Smith.
I am Kayla King.
Thank you for listening.
Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Burby's 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
This morning, I woke up a millionaire. A Digicel millionaire. Money here, money there, money everywhere. I'm a Digicel millionaire. It's our 14th anniversary, and for the next 14 days, we're gonna make one lucky customer a Digicel millionaire every day. To enter the draw, just purchase any Digicel Prime bundle or top up with $1,400 or more.